Welcome back. This is the 15th episode of the Painted Privacy video series, and I'm the artificial avatar of Luca Bolognini, European data lawyer and essayist. In this episode, we'll talk about freshness and authenticity of compliance. What I want to talk about here is the fresh and vivacious energy of conformity. In a video interview dedicated to the evolution of accountability, for which we have the talented Italian privacyist and composer Luca to thank. Yes, he also has a degree in composition from the conservatory, speaking of combined skills in art and law. I playfully described this principle as a fresco that never dries. I was thinking of its creation. It is common knowledge that the fresco technique involves painting on plaster while it is still wet, or fresh, so that the colors permeate into the mixture, and once absorbed through the process of carbonation, they become long-lasting, able to resist the wear and tear of time and of water. The painting becomes part of the fabric of the wall itself. I am fascinated by the idea of the painter working in movement on the living wall, masterfully capturing and fulfilling its potential, forming an alliance with the ideas and the material, becoming one with them. There is no end of fun to be had with metaphors for the DPO artist. In creating a model of legal compliance, we sketch and paint rules, guidelines, procedures, policies, clauses, organizational and technical measures that must be blended in with productive, supplementary, and support functions. We do not just slap stickers or rub-on transfers onto those office walls. Instead, we strive to co-create the mechanical components of the model with the area managers, so as to make them an integral part of their nature and functioning. Like pigments in a fresco on the wall, the compliance model becomes organic and is transformed, when successful, into a new business model. The difference is that, thanks to, or because of, the principle of accountability, our fresco never dries. It remains alive, susceptible to amendments and additions, subject to review and reassessment, that is, to due diligence and gap analysis, to use the technical jargon. This is what I was trying to say in the interview: the compliance required by legislation on personal data protection. But the same can be said for all European data and digital regulations in their launch phase, starting with the Data Governance Act, AI Act, and Data Act. Calls for continuous movement, never stopping, never becoming dry or cemented. The image you can admire in the lower right corner shows a charming detail of a painting from the early Parisian period by Giovanni Boldini, the famous Ferrarese painter of the Belle Époque, a maverick innovator. He trained in the 15th century classic tradition, then went through a Macchiaioli phase in Florence, before going to France, where he succeeded in blending other genres, including Impressionism. His paintings were impetuous, turbulent, boisterous, deranged, and astounding, all this while focusing almost exclusively on interior scenes and portraits. A pleasure seeker who fitted in perfectly with the high society of that time, he was a resounding success internationally. But I do not want to talk about Boldini the bon vivant. I am more interested in his doubts and regrets and how highly he regarded them. Let's back up a step. Technology known as art diagnostics uses optical techniques, infrared reflectography for example, to reveal elements that would otherwise be invisible to the naked eye, and to reveal secrets buried beneath the painting. Around 7 years ago, research carried out by Gianluca Poldi, together with Gam Manzoni in Milan, uncovered previously unimaginable details in Boldini's works. Beyond and between the brushstrokes, preliminary drafts, sketches, and discarded drawings appear. In some cases, mistakes that were later corrected, but more often deliberate changes. Of course, these changes of heart almost always emerge when analyzing paintings from the Renaissance onwards. There is a curious analysis by the Uffizi that makes for interesting reading. See the footnote, following the restoration of an altarpiece by the youthful Botticelli that revealed his recurrent second thoughts. Art experts also know that infrared analysis of the background brushstrokes can help to confirm the authenticity and attribution of a work of art. Among the many examples, this argument is used in the debate about the Gioconda Torlonia. pictured here, discovered on top of a radiator at Palazzo Montecitorio. Is it the work of Leonardo or one of his pupils? Usually, fakes and copies have no underlying rethinks. They simply repeat, like the parrot teased by the two ladies in Bolognini's painting. This is where invisible traces become the watermark of a painting, metadata, track record, or track changes. Just like computer system logs or drafts of legal opinions and documents, including CRM databases that store all data processing interactions in reviews and in versions 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 2.0, and so on. This generates a caustic story of meta-compliance, useful from an accountability perspective to demonstrate that our efforts to ensure progressive compliance are genuine. But Bolognini took it one step further. He did not hide his second thoughts completely. He enhanced his mistakes and changes rather than erasing them entirely or covering them up. He left them there deliberately as background to the work, lending greater strength and dynamism to the overall painting, like a rough, raw, and noticeable accompaniment, tarnishing and engaging the viewer. In this regard, he was decidedly rock and roll. When the auditors come, we should not be afraid to produce the working drafts and the email exchanges between DPOs, consultants, and managers that helped us to clear our heads and reach our decisions. They will be perceived, and they will confirm the method and perseverance in our efforts. Speaking of truth and paths, the photos that you can see in the lower left corner show the three famous fake Modigliani heads fished out of a canal in Livorno. An amusing and paradoxical story, you may recall. Sculptures are in fact the most forged artworks, and they only make it onto the art market if their pedigree is impeccable, if the author is alive and confirms their authenticity, or if there is an ironclad chain of ownership involving trustworthy museums or institutions over the centuries. If not, there is no infrared that can debunk a fake made of stone. The metaphor lends itself to artificial intelligence, to the metaverse, and to the Internet of Things. How can we ensure that each physical or virtual electronic object is traceable? Check out the article entitled Record Keeping in the European Artificial Intelligence Act. It says things like high-risk AI systems shall technically allow for the automatic recording of events, logs, over the lifetime of the system. I see the embryo of a existence tracker for dangerous intelligent systems, which inevitably over time will lead to the creation of AI systems, sculpture-like pedigrees. Thanks for following this 15th episode of Painted Privacy, and see you next time with Luca Bolognini's artificial avatar.